Oh, hey, good evening. How you doing? I was just taking a look out back here. I don't know if you see my little window. It's not that way. It's this way. It's the beautiful. Oh God, I'm wicked in the way here. The mountains of Smithfield. I'm here just listening to my loons doing the loons call down there on the lake. They flew in this evening after the storm that we had pass on through here. Just gonna raise this a little bit. Don't mind the top end of my window there. It's nothing really to see. So good evening. This is July the 25th, 2023. My name is Buddy Thayer, and it's a legit metaphysical rerun because Auntie Dale is moving south. Auntie Dale is your normal host of this show. She comes on every week. One week she does a great interview with a great figure of the metaphysical world, be it a medium, be it a drummer, like a rhythmic drummer, like a rock person, like a tarot card reader, or like a what else does she do? These healers like Reiki masters and people do a feng shui or feng shui, if you will. She does all this, and then on the following week, she has people like you might have just seen just before the show, Sarah Gagnon of La Chat Noir Tarot. She comes on and she does a live tarot card reading with two or three lucky volunteers who come on and get their tarot card read, or they've gotten like a medium reading before. So it's all different people from all different areas of the country, and they all come on and she walks us, she grabs us by the hand, her little nephew me by the hand, and we walk together into a metaphysical world. So while Auntie Dale is packing up all her stuff, moving to sunny South Carolina, where she will continue quite the metaphysical journey in September, I am left to host you with some of Auntie Dale's greatest hits. You'll see, last week you saw Sarah Gagnon. This week you're going to see Roland Comtois. Roland Comtois is a medium from here in Rhode Island. He's absolutely what my aunt would call fabulous. Me personally, he's touched me in a non-physical and spiritual, deep kind of way at least like a dozen times in 4 years. So he's an absolutely phenomenal man who does phenomenal things. Before I get into Roland, before I get into the video, just a few quick announcements for those of you all joining us. So I'm going to do a quick share screen. Please hold. We're going to do this, and we're going to look at a few things really quick before we get into um, the episode. So if you're not familiar with us, we are located at www.legitpodcast.com. Out of many, Mike could tell you hundreds. Mike could do a whole show on all of the names that he has with a www in front of it. So this is the main one. It takes you to this page, though. We are doing a thing over the summer months with Block Island Ghost Tours, legit paranormal party weekend for $79. You book here. It's the entire weekend. Friday night you party with the gang, with the VIP. The VIP in June was Tim Weisberg of Spooky South Coast. The VIP guest for July was Matt Warner of Warner Paranormal Society up there also in Massachusetts. And joining us this August 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, Chris Cesare, the Ghost Boy at Donesco. He's a celebrated author. He's been on a lot of the paranormal shows. He had tremendous, horrific experiences while at the State University of New York, up there in New York, of course, the home of the awful New York Yankees and New Jersey Giants. And he had traumatic experiences, and then he told the story in a best-selling book, and he joins us for the weekend. Chris is the most down-to-earth, like, it's absolutely intense. It's absolutely fearful. So you can join us either Friday. I'll show you some. Let's see if we have. Okay, so this is the rest of our page. I'll show you that more in a minute when we go to Block Island Ghost Tour page. This is our podcast schedule. Yeah, we have two shows on Monday, legit paranormal flicks. So it's Jai and Mike, and they discuss horror films. Then after that is a compass of curiosities, and Russ Stivers. He walks us into this world of paranormal with his famous compass of curiosities and takes us to a different land every week. Tuesday night, you can see the Witches Inn with Sarah G. Witch MD. That is, Mike gets more and more clever with these nicknames that he provides for people. He's rhyming now, and he's using multiple words. I'm really proud at how far he's come. So join her every Tuesday night, 7:05. Tonight she welcomed Brian Denzero. He's a Reiki master. He's a tarot card reader. He's a medium. He's an award-winning milieu coordinator at the Bridgewater State Hospital, and he's a great all-around guy. You can check out that episode on the website right there. The Witch is in. That's, you just click that and bam, you'll see the episode. At 8:05, you're going to see my face for the next 6 weeks, and then Auntie Dale joins us back on September 4th. I think on September 5th. I think, and she's going to welcome Roland Comtois. So he's going to be coming on her show and talking about all new stuff. So see the first episode tonight. See that episode when she comes back. Wednesday nights, we welcome Legit Paranormal News with Dreamy Dave and Not Jean. I think it's Sin. Sin is a lovely lady. You'll see her on various shows. Tune in Wednesday nights. After that, at 9:05, Into the Legit Darkness with Rini. It is a show about serial killers and dark crimes and dark human beings. It's a nice, scary show to watch right before you go to bed. Thursday nights, you can see my beautiful face along with Rick Lysick, a.k.a. Block Island Rick of Block Island Ghost Tours. He joins us as well as Sarah Paranormal, another classic nickname by Mike, and the man himself, King Mike L., as we welcome on various guests from around the paranormal teams, paranormal investigators, to bring their evidence and play it for us and explain it to us. And we talk about it and we review it. And we have seen some of the best evidence I've seen. Oh my God, I can't call it evidence, data I've seen collected in other than what we get at Ocean State Paranormal, real long time. It's just absolutely like, it blows your mind. So tune in live Thursday nights at 8:05. This week it's Mike Priest of Michigan Scientific Paranormal Investigations. Bam, I guess that. Tune in at 9:05. Stay tuned for Legit Paranormal 101 with Sarah, same Sarah from the Clip Show, Heidi, and Julie. And of course, I think Mike jumps in, or the guy from Arizona, MUFON, Hurd. That's his last name. I don't know. I'm sorry, Mr. Hurd. I forgot your name. You were on the show a while back. It's a really great show. They talk about a lot of different methods and madness to investigating. And of course, the flagship show with the flagship, co-host myself, King Mike L., and Sin and Joey Paranormal, who is on long-term assignment at the moment in the lovely city of Warwick. Join us live at 7:05 each and every night. We can be found on www.legitpodcast.com or our Facebook, or the Facebook stuff, or the Legit Podcast stuff, all that good stuff. So next, I'm going to take you to another land. We're going to get on the ferry down in Point Judith, because that's where I go from. If you have trouble parking, park and Stop and Shop, and then Uber to the ferry like I did. It costs $10. It's the price to park. So this lovely place called Block Island is hosted by our lovely friend Rick Lysick, who, ironically enough, buddy has an incoming. Buddy cannot answer this call at the moment. Please hold. Oh my God, this is awkward. Okay, so Rick Lysick, he is the owner of Block Island Ghost Tours. He owns the most amazing dive bar in all of New England, Club Soda. He takes guests on a walk of Old Harbor walking tour, a New Harbor walking tour. They do driving tours. They had a magic show, which, let me tell you, I was like, we're going to go see a guy pull a rabbit out of a hat. We're going to go see a guy do a little card tricks. No, this guy is like a legit magician. This guy was doing, I was watching this guy's hand, like Rob Martin's magic show right there. Amazing. Rob Martin is amazing. If anything, go for Rob Martin. I'd go for Rick too. Rick is a really cool guy. So that's the Block Island page. So then this is a paranormal party weekend. Again, August with Chris DeCesare. Friday evening at 7 p.m. You get a VIP meet and greet. If you can't make it out Friday night, if you can't find a hotel on Block Island, we're not going to be totally surprised. And if you do, it might be really expensive. So the good option is come over on Saturday. enjoy the beach a little bit, get a few beers, talk with the kids, do whatever you want to do. Then at 2:30, we're going to have tarot card readings. I don't know if we're going to do jokes with King Mike, but that's another bit that might kind of get on the back burner. At 4 o'clock, again, Rob Martin's Magic Show. You do not want to miss that. 5 o'clock, Ghost Tour with the impeccable Rick Isaac. He will take you places. He will take you places that have been haunted for hundreds of years. He will take you to places that people are buried in. He will take you to places where, was it transdressing? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my God, I'm offending the entire community. A trans serial killer once lived while still actively a serial killer. All on Block Island, all sorts of haunted stuff, Native American history, bloody, gory stuff, awful things that have happened there, great things that have happened there, good times, good fires that burned down half the island in the beginning half of the century. All this and more with Rick Isaac of Block Island Ghost Story. You get off the ferry, you look up from the ferry, you cross the parking lot, you cross the street. There's the Old Fellas. The Old Fellas. Is the Old Fellas? Is that where it is? It's the Old Fellas Hall, and he's right there upstairs. You can't miss it. Here's the weekend. This is the one with Chris Cesare, Ghost Boy Janesco, August 25th to the 27th. Damn, I was close. So you can check out those events and book here. I highly recommend you do, even just for the magic show. But Chris is a really charming guy, and great shop. They have some great merch. And now, without further ado, you get to stop hearing my awful voice, and we're going to go to probably one of the most celebrated guests we've had on Legit Paranormal, and it's a metaphysical. It is a legit metaphysical world with Auntie Dale. Without further ado, please welcome the man, the myth, the metaphysical and medium legend, Roland Comtois. There we go.
Good evening, everyone. And it is Tuesday night, and welcome to It's a Legit Metaphysical World. I am your host, Auntie Dale Voluccio, and tonight I am busting with pride with our guest. So he is a spiritual advisor, probably the most renowned medium I have ever come across, and that's my unbiased opinion. He is a Reiki master. He is an author. He is just an all-around incredible, fabulous human being, and he's also my very good friend. So without further ado, because I can't wait to bring him on, Roland Comtois.
Hi, Dale. How are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to be here tonight. But I was getting a little nervous because we're in Mercury retrograde, the links and this, that, and the other thing. But
right?
I'm so happy to be here with you, Dale. So happy.
Oh, I'm honored. I really am, Roland. I'm honored and I'm humbled that you're here on my little show. I really am. It's fabulous. I've been waiting for it all day. I really have.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here too, to share information, to share possibilities, to share hope, to share stories, whatever it is that we're going to do together on our on your show.
And, we never know where this is going to take us, Roland. As, you and I have been down that path many times together, right?
Yeah, you never know where spirit, where the energy, where the anything is going to lead you. Take you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have to share you with a story that happened to me today that
Okay.
I was thinking, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to tell Roland about this today. So I'm in session and I'm getting a text from a friend, and she was, it's funny how people know I'm into this kind of stuff. So I'm like the go-to person for anything that's kind of weird, right? Or out there. I'll just text Dale. She'll get it, right? So I got one, and she was having like signs of birds and everything, and wasn't really understanding what it was and what it meant. So I'm kind of talking to her, in between sessions, because I have nothing else to do, right? Between sessions. So I'm talking to her about the spiritual stuff. And as I'm talking to her, I got a sense that someone was coming into my room. There was a spirit that was coming into my room, and it was very powerful. And as I'm talking, and something told me at one point to get up and pick a card from Talking to Heaven cards. And I did. And I got the card, and it had even more energy to it, had even more power to it. And I kept talking to her, and kept talking to her. And I kept saying to her, like, I said, send me a selfie, because this is through text, right? Send me a selfie so I can see your picture, so I can see your energy. Soon as she sent me the selfie, the words came in my head. Oh, she's so beautiful.
Oh.
And that's what I sent her. I said, someone just said you're so beautiful. And from there, it led to, like, it was her grandfather, and he was there. And I'm telling you, Roland, he would not leave. He would not leave. He was like there, and he wasn't leaving until he got his message across. So it got to the point where I'm like, all right, I have a session coming up soon. Right? So, like, I love this and thank you so much, but you gotta, like, leave my office now, right? So I said, go to her and send her the message. She just wants a sign from you. Go and send a message. And I heard it's going to be really quick. So I send that all to her. 5 minutes later, she's like, oh my gosh, Dale. She's like, after your messages, I went and got a coffee, and on the radio, the lyrics of the song was, "This is my ghost story."
Oh, wow. Wow.
I was like,
Wow.
there you go. There you go.
You're gonna love how they communicate with us, how they get their message through, and I've seen it too, that they're determined to get us the message until we hear it. And
Yep.
many times at my events, people sometimes get the same message because maybe they didn't hear it the first time, or maybe they weren't listening the first time, or maybe they weren't ready for it the first time. So spirit works in such amazing and mysterious way. Someone that's listening to someone that's paying attention. So what? You're a little crazy. It doesn't matter. At least
Who wants normal, Roland? Who wants to be normal, right? Come on, that's boring, please.
it is. And at least you're getting the message, and you're delivering the message, and you're doing what you're supposed to do in between your sessions. But boy, spirit is miraculously connected to us in ways I think that we don't even understand until we go on this journey, until we delve into it, until we open our minds. And I saw at the beginning promo, I think it said open your mind or open your heart or something. And when life changes, I think it really does change, Dale.
Yes, I totally agree with you, Roland. And I mean, you say this, you've said this since I think I first met you. Do you realize it's been like 9 years ago since I first met you?
Has it been 9 years already?
I looked that up today. I was like, oh my gosh, he's been in my life 9 years. No wonder I'm like this.
You blame me. It's my fault.
I was normal. It's always Jim before we met you. See?
You guys were normal before you met me. That's hilarious.
Oh, gosh. But you've always said since the beginning, Roland, there's nothing special that I can do. Everyone can do what I can do.
Right.
Just open yourself up to it.
That's it. Open yourself up, open your mind, open your heart. Because listen, I don't care who's sitting at the other end that you're interviewing. We all have the same opportunity. We all have the same connection. And maybe some are stronger than others. Yes, but we all have this beautiful thing inside of us messages we get are profound and clear.
Yeah.
They do what they're supposed to do. They communicate with us. They want us to know things, right?
Yeah.
They want us to know that they're there.
Yeah.
They want us to live on. They want us to move on. They want us to continue on our journey, you know? So
Yeah.
they're determined to reach us in such extraordinary and incredible ways.
So what's one of the most extraordinary ways Spirit has reached out to you?
Oh, come on. You know, it's hard to put that in one statement or one sentence, but it's been just an unbelievable journey since I've been a child. You know, I've
Yeah.
been listening to listening to those voices, you know, my whole life. I've been listening to those experiences and keeping myself as open as I can. And it's been one event after another that was transformative for me. One
Yeah.
of the things that I found quite profound, though, was after 9/11, when my little girl, Caitlin, she was having this conversation with this invisible energy or entity that was standing just over to the right of her. She was in her little bed, and that she was 9 years old, something like
Okay.
that. She was just a little kid,
Yeah.
and she's having this conversation with someone, and she's talking wide awake, looking at someone, and in that moment I knew she was conversing with a priest, because she called him father, not father religious, you know. And
Yeah.
she's talking about this man who tried to bless other people before this event occurred, and he passed in this somewhere somehow.
Yeah.
And that was a profound moment, but there are so many of them that it's hard to say there's just one experience that made it change or made it different. I mean, there have been times when I've been driving in the car. Oh, this is one story about my driving to do a private session in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. And I'm driving up the hill, and I'm driving, and it's nice. The music's playing. Wow, I'm loving it. I'm getting ready to do my thing. And then all of a sudden I see a man. All right, hang on, everyone. Hang on, Dale. I see a man in my back seat, and I look in the mirror, and I turn over, and there's nobody there, but I see this image in the mirror of a man with these really big glasses, and I'm like, all right, this is weird,
So you
really
don't
weird.
see him when you turn around, but you
No, I
see
didn't
him in
see
the
him.
mirror.
In this case, I saw his reflection in the mirror, but I turned around because I'm driving and I'm looking, and I didn't see him in my car. I saw this reflection in my mirror, and it was a very strong man, big glasses, and he's just standing there, and he's kind of looking forward. So I get to the house of the woman I'm going to do this session for, and she opens the door. She left, and there is a counter there, and on the counter is this picture of the man I saw in my car. And
Oh my
there
God.
was a small 4x6, 5x7 picture of the guy with the big glasses, and I thought, aha, now I get it.
Yeah.
You sent me here. You want me to say something to her, just like what happened to you today. He wanted me to say something to the woman that he loved that would maybe bring her peace of mind, maybe that would bring her ease and kind of comfort. So
Yeah.
it's story after story. I will also never forget the time I was in England, and I was going there to do an event in what's the name of the town? Newcastle upon Tyne. It was this little town way up north, maybe 2.5. Sorry about London too, but anyways, I'm up here and I'm in this little town, and I was summoned there by a friend of mine who was going to host an event. So I'm going to London, I'm going to England, all of it is being worked out, and I get there, and as I'm there, the Icelandic volcano erupts, and this volcano erupts in Iceland, and everything is stopped. And now no one could come to my event. No one could be there, but I was sitting on the couch. There were two other guys in the room beside myself. And I'm saying, wait a minute, guys, I'm feeling some energy. Let's just go with this. So I'm in a town I've never been in before. I've been in a country that I've never been in before. And I'm sitting there and I start to see these men walking past me with my eyes. And I'm getting this kind of weird, tingly feeling. And they're moving past me. And all I see are them wearing red coats and red hats. And I'm thinking to myself, this has been a long trip thus far. The volcano erupted. I mean,
Yeah.
I called the embassy trying to get a ride home. I was so
Oh my
nervous.
gosh.
The guys laughed at me. They said, "We got another American calling for a ride home." You know, they thought I was as crazy as a bed bug. But these red coats just kept passing by me, and I knew that they were soldiers. And I started to become incredibly emotional because I get very emotional when the messages come through, and it just started to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And so I say to the guy, I said, there are spirits in your house walking in this direction. And they were walking that way as if they were walking out of the house through some glass door into the ethers or something, right?
Yeah.
The guy said to me that their house, the house that they live in, was built on the same line that the soldiers with the red coats would walk the fields long before there were houses, long before there was any of this civilization. These guys with the red coats, who were soldiers, who were there to protect the town, I was seeing them walk past me. I saw them. I saw what they were doing. I saw what they were carrying. And though I didn't do an event for lots of people, I did an event for the two guys that were in the
Yeah.
room. And
Yeah.
then the soldiers that were there. I mean, it's story after story, Dale, that solidifies for me more than that this is more than this being a real a possibility. It is a reality.
Yeah.
And it depends on what you want to believe. You know, I often say to my audiences now, look, I'm not here to get you to believe anything. I'm not here to impress you, to get you.
Yeah.
Look, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. If you think I'm nuts, you think I'm nuts. Fine. You
Yep.
know, you won't be the first person to think I'm bonkers.
Right. You won't be the last. Yeah.
And yeah, and you won't be the last. But I saw these men in these red coats walking across this tiny little house. It was profound. It was really a very profound moment.
Now, Roland, do you think, because you know I'm a paranormal investigator too, do you think that was like a residual type? Because we have a belief that, you know, sometimes people, I don't know, for lack of a better word, get stop thinking that type of a thing you were witnessing, more of a residual thing. They just always keep passing through there.
I think it was a combination of things because there were many spirits that were walking through, many men that were walking through, and I think that yes, some of it was this residual or um, residual energy of their presence somehow. I
Yeah.
also think that some of them needed a little extra energy or love or support or something, you know, so it was a combination of different things I think that were happening in that one moment of time. I don't think it was one or the other. I think there
Okay.
were many things that were happening, many things that were happening. They weren't talking either, you know, they weren't there to identify who they were. They were simply there to be acknowledged for the sacrifices they made for the community that we were sitting in. We were also in the community where George Washington was born, the president of the United
Wow.
States. He was from there. And so we were in the community where his family, George Washington's family, uh, lived. And I thought, well, this is so weird, but they just kept moving through. I
Yeah.
think they wanted acknowledgement. That's my gut feeling. But
Yeah.
I agree with you. Sometimes there's residual energy, and I could tell you stories after stories about those experiences where that residual energy exists, and we have to do something to help that energy, that soul, that whatever you want to call it, cross through the veil, if you will,
Move on. Yeah.
or move forward or move on. And
Yeah.
I've seen it many, many, many times in my years as a channeling kind of guy.
I have a question for you, Roland. You mentioned 9/11.
Yes.
This is one question I've always wanted to ask you. On a day like that, that was so overwhelming for so many of us, just without your gift. What was that day like for you, with so many souls perishing at the same time?
It was extreme, to say the least. It was very extreme. And I had been in contact with my teacher, and I've talked to you about her and other people, Tulia Folani Kitty. She was my mentor and my spiritual advisor. And she and I were in conversation after all of this started. And the two of us were in such distress. And we started to see the presence of spirits crossing into the light, and by the thousands crossing through that gateway. So it was a very overwhelming experience. But even what's more fascinating, years before, in my first book, I said in a vision I had that the fuselage will fall from the sky. It was the terminology that I used in my first book, and then it was heaven, because I had this vision that something was going to happen, but I didn't know where that something was going to happen. I just knew that something was going to happen, but it was unsettling. It was overwhelming. It was complex. Nothing like I've ever felt before, Dale, at all. Nothing at all that I've ever seen before.
Or felt since.
But that's not true. I started to feel a lot of tension during COVID, when all of these people were passing, So there was a lot of tension in that, and during that time, where I felt some restless energy. Dale, I've met other people who have said to me they get edgy, fidgety, tense, overwhelming, uncontrollable feelings when this big global something is going on. So people have these kind of premonitions simply by what their body, mind, spirit, or energy is feeling at that moment.
And you think that's because you're so open in general just to the energy. And when there's a shift in the energy, whether it's present or future, you can sense it. You can feel it coming on.
Yeah, look, I think we're living in one moment. And in this moment, there's the past, present, and future. That's how I think, at least, that all of this exists in this moment. It's not that it's over there or behind me, that we are living in this multidimensional space. And when we're in that multidimensional space, we have access to things. We have access to our past through our memories, through our experiences. And I think we can tap into an energy that exists just over there somewhere. Because I think we're living in a different time and a different energy than
What do
it
you
was.
mean a different time?
I think it's a time where we can really hone in on our soul senses, right? We have physical senses that we use in our everyday lives. We hear, we touch, we smell, we taste, right? We see. But there are other aspects of us, and maybe this concept is new or familiar, whatever it is, there are other aspects to us that make us who we are. We have clairaudient. We can hear with some aspect of us. We have the ability to see spirit. I think now the world of the energy has changed in a way that allows us to see what exists over there, allows us to see past, present, and future with a different mindset, with a different vision than we did before. Something is changing. I think a lot is changing because humanity is growing, though I think we've kind of stifled our growth a little bit. There's been a lot of chaos, and there is a lot of chaos, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that it's a bit stifled, or maybe it's easing up a little bit, but I think it's time for it to change. It's time. My teacher used to say, it's time to switch from our intellect to our intuition, to go back into that aspect of us that allows us to communicate with each other. Listen, this is not New Age. This is not New Age. You, I'm quite sure, and all of your listeners tonight have had a feeling about their Uncle Bob, So Uncle Bob is home from the hospital, but something tells you that you have to call Uncle Bob, and you don't know why you know that.
Yeah.
So you pick up the phone and you say, "Hey, Uncle Bob, it's me, whomever, whatever. I just wanted to say hello. I don't know, I had a feeling about you today." Uncle Bob says, well, thanks for calling me because I was feeling sick today, or I was feeling something today. How many of you have had that moment where you have felt something for someone who's alive,
Yeah.
and you have called them and responded and reacted?
Yep, that happens to me all the time. Happened to me just last week. Don't ask me why, because I can't explain it rationally. Something told me reach out to one of my therapists and just say, "Hey, just checking in. How are you?" And when I saw her later that day, she said, "You always send me the text exactly when I need to hear that. How do you know?" I'm like, "I don't know.
Well, it's
I
because
don't
it's
know
an
how I know. I
aspect.
just
It's
know."
an aspect of you, like it's an aspect of everyone who's listening tonight. We all have the same opportunity. And I've
Yes.
said this the last time I saw you, there is not one book that says Roland Comtois, woo, is the medium. There isn't a book that says anything like that,
Well,
right?
there should be, Roland.
No, there isn't a book like that at all. The book says everyone. It doesn't say one. It doesn't say the internationally, nationally known mediums.
Yeah.
It doesn't say them. It says all of us. Everyone has the same opportunity, the same ability if you hone in on that skill, the same opportunity. So it was quite profound to see the red coats and coming to the understanding that the guy I was with, the place I was staying, he said we were on the direct line of where those soldiers walked. I don't even
Amazing.
I've never been in that town. I've never been there. How would I even know? Now, you want to hear another story about my trip to England that I also find quite fascinating?
I love your stories.
Well, thank you. The other thing that happened was where I arrive in London. I don't remember the dates anymore. And I'm picked up by the entourage that's there to greet me. And we go to an apartment in London. And I'm in bed and it's all quiet and calm. Everything's getting set up for my visit and the opportunity to meet people and give messages and show the purple papers and all that stuff. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, okay, hang on. At 3 o'clock in the morning, someone is standing at the end of my bed saying, "Get home now." Right? And I went, uh-oh. So I woke up the guy that was hosting me. I said, "You need to get me a flight home right now."
Did you know the person at the end of your bed? Did you know who it was?
No idea.
Okay.
We don't always know the spiritual.
Yeah.
If we believe that we're living in this commingle of this coexistence, that past, present, future, that the connections I hear, then maybe that we have access to all of it. But this voice, this man, this presence said, "Go home or get home now." So I wake up the people I'm with and I say, "You've got to get me a flight home. I need to get home now." He said, "Roland, there are no flights. You can't get home. You can't leave." I said, "They're saying I got to get home now." There was no way for me to fly home. There was no way to arrange that. So we finally make our way 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. We're now driving hours north. And on our way there, the volcano in Iceland erupted. And now I'm stranded in England. I think I was there for 10 days. And there was no going home. There was no getting out of it. But that voice, that presence was standing right there. He was even in a dark coat. I was a little spooked out at first, but he wasn't, he wasn't in the da 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 da, the glorious light. It wasn't that kind of a moment. He was standing there in this energy, and he said, "Get home now." And I responded, because I think one of the things you're going to do if you are someone who is receiving messages, you respond to the message. You acknowledge the voice. You acknowledge the connection. It's going to make your communications even stronger So, so I'm trying to get people out of bed and saying, let's go. I got to get the heck out of here. I got to get the heck out of Dodge. And I got to get home. Well, I was then trapped in that town, nowhere to go, no cabs, no, all the cars were rented. There were no taxis, nothing, because the whole country stopped because of what happened in Iceland. And we sat in that house just sitting there. And, the guy did make me a delicious meal of leeks, though. It was the most delicious leeks. It was the most delicious leeks I've ever eaten in my life. So I thought, well, if I'm going to be stuck in England, I'll eat leeks.
There you go.
So the guy cooked for me, and there was another guest in the house. The other people had never arrived, and we were eating leeks, watching the dead soldiers walk across the room. Now, my friend, who's also...
Well, you have a very interesting life.
I've had an amazing life thus far. An amazing life thus far. And the guy that I was there with, the guy that was hosting me, he was also sensitive to energy. He also had his own amazing things. He has since passed. He passed last June. He was such a nice guy. He was a good friend to me, and someone that I could talk about these things to. But the least.
So the man who passed, your friend, last June, has he visited you?
Huh? And we'll just, I'll just keep it as he's visited, and we'll leave it at that.
Okay. All right.
He's visited. He comes hanging around. I didn't feel him right away. That's another thing that people panic about, is that we don't feel them. Sometimes we don't feel them right away. It takes a while for things to happen. So I didn't feel him right away, but I didn't get mad. I didn't say, oh man, come on, I want to connect to you. When it's the right time, it's the right time. And I don't want to put any pressure on the spiritual world, on them. When it's meant to happen, it will absolutely happen.
Yeah.
So I've seen him. He visits now and then. He stops in, says hello on his way somewhere, doing whatever he has to do. That kind of thing.
I have a question for you, Roland. I know your story because we've been friends forever. I know you started seeing people at a very young age, right?
Yep.
Do you remember the first time you experienced that and what that felt like for you? And did you freak out as a child and say, what the heck is going on?
No, I was walking around the house following it. I'm like, oh, look at that. Maybe I thought it was an imaginary place, someone, because I was so young, So I was just talking, and there he is, and hi, and and my mother would go, oh God, here we go. Oh Mom, look, and I was a little kid following the presence of energy. That's all I was doing. I would listen to it. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just talking to whatever it was that was there. And then later on, a few years later, I started to see people differently. And then that continued to progress and has for a long time. The spirit world communicates with us in many different ways. We see them, we hear them, we feel them, we sense them, we know they're there. There are many ways they communicate. So for me in the beginning, I was enamored by the experience. And Dale, I was never, ever, ever afraid. I was afraid of the humans. I was afraid of people more than anybody else. Wait a minute. Let me step back for a minute. There have been a couple of moments when I've been like, oh, what's that all about? When I saw freaky, scary, creepy things. That's a story for another day. But there were some things that were really weird, and I thought, okay, that's different. That's not the usual. That's not the usual love and light that I want to see from the spirit world, right? It's not. It's a little different sometimes.
Can you control what you see? I believe we can control the energy around us. And if we don't want the negative energy coming near us.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I totally understand what you're saying. And from the very beginning, I have always said, I remember this as a little kid, 10, 11 years old. that I only want to communicate with the energy that represents love, that supports the bigger picture, that supports the humanity of that one person. I didn't say humanity when I was 10 years old, but the idea was to do something good with whatever it was that I was feeling. But I can easily say, no, and I shouldn't say easily. I can say, you know what? I'm tired right now. I need a rest. See me tomorrow. It's no different than my calling you and saying, Dale, I'm too tired to talk tonight. I'll talk to you next week.
Right.
It's creating those boundaries so that you can live in your human experience as peaceful as possible. Because sometimes it's not so easy getting bombarded with all those messages and all that energy all at once. It's not always simple, that's for sure. So I think the spirit world is waiting for us to communicate. And when I say spirit world, I don't mean just Aunt Bessie. I mean the energy that exists in that world. Because there's got to be more to it, whatever it is, than just this place. There's got to be more. There's got to be more to the story than just planet Earth. There's got to be something else out there. There's got to be something. Now, again, we could talk about this at another time as well, but there's got to be something else. So some people communicate with angels. Some people communicate with energy, entities of light, ascended masters and teachers. People talk to Jesus. People talk to Kuan Yin. People talk to their mothers and fathers. People talk to their dogs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the more open we are, and the wider we open our lens, the more we're going to see. If you want to see tunnel vision, this is what you're going to see spiritually. But as you grow spiritually and you open that part of you, part that's sensitive to the energy, wow, the stuff you're going to see is incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. The opportunities are absolutely incredible. And I believe this, what I'm about to say, I think it's life-changing for some. It has been for me, and I'm sure it's life-changing for some people. All I know is that they want to tell us something, or the universe, or the divine, or our loved ones, or the entities, or the angels, or whatever exists, wants to tell us something. They want to know they exist.
And it seems like the main message I get from people, Roland, is for when it's a message to pass on to somebody else, is just to let the other person know they're not alone.
Yes.
That their loved ones are still there. The love hasn't died just because the body form has died. The love is still there.
Right. The love is the greatest communicator that exists in our planet, in our galaxy, in our universe, and in our world.
Yes.
And when we go back to that love, then we have the opportunity to open up all the doors. Now, granted, not everybody had a nice mother. We all know, because I did the event with you guys with that woman who did not have a nice mother. And that was a very profound moment. And I think it was eye-opening for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because not everybody has a nice mother,
No.
I did an event a couple of nights ago, and a woman had a terrible father. I mean, terrible father. And I won't say the language here, but what she said in front of the whole audience was he was B, the big B. And it wasn't always pleasant. But we have to stay connected to the love. We have to find the love, the energy of love within ourselves, because we're going to attract that vibration in our spiritual communications. That's what we're going to do. We're going to attract that energy. But here's an interesting story. Can I tell you a story about a purple paper thing that happened?
Yes, I was just going to bring up the purple papers for my viewing audience that may not know what those are. There they are.
And there are lots of them.
Yes, there is.
The other day, I was doing an event, and I had a purple paper dated 4/1/2022 from someone named Anne. And okay, it was just a purple paper, but the interesting parts or pieces of this puzzle is that I've been to that venue before. The person who was there looked at the paper before. Nothing clicked. Nothing. She takes the purple paper, she reads it. The purple paper says all kinds of things from her grandmother named Anne. And then it says, don't worry about mom, right? It says, don't worry about mom. She doesn't know what that means. So she goes home. She takes the paper with her because I believe in my heart it's meant for her. She takes the paper home to her mother. Her mother looks at the paper and cries because her parents are telling her, her mother is telling her, I'm looking out for you. But here's what nobody knows. 4 weeks prior to being together at this venue for this event, the mother, who's getting the message in the paper, had gone to her parents' pictures for 4 weeks saying, you've got to make me strong. You've got to help me. You've got to tell me I'm going to be okay. And she's an older woman, maybe elderly, talking to her elderly parents who have been gone for decades, wanting to have a conversation with her mother about how she's physically doing. Her body's fragile. She isn't feeling well. And she looks to the paper. To the picture of her parents and says, just send me a sign that you can hear me. And on the paper, it said, don't worry about mom. In that moment, the woman, the granddaughter of the woman that died, knew the paper belonged to her family, and I knew the paper belonged to her mother. She goes home, she gives the paper to her mother, and her mother cries, knowing that her mother heard her prayer. Oh my God, don't tell me.
You
Wait a
can't make
minute.
this stuff up. You can't
Wait.
make it up.
Stop the clock. You can't tell me that a paper written on April 1st, 2022 would be delivered on April 23, 2023.
Yeah.
For a woman who needed that particular message. I mean, you can't make it up.
No.
This isn't a manufactured experience. Look, wait a minute. Wait. There are plenty of people, mediums, channeling people, who say sounds like a W, sounds like an M, and that's fine. That's how they decipher the energy they're experiencing. There's no judgment. I mean, I went to a big event and I was speaking at a big event in Portland, Oregon, and there was a very well-known medium there. And all she said was, in this section of 100 people, someone played with, well, maybe a lot of people played with a red wagon. Who knows? But this was her method of deciphering. I say to you, your mother wants to talk to you. Your aunt wants to talk to you. And like you just said a minute ago, they want us to know that we're not alone. They also want us to hear, I'm sorry. They want to say they're sorry. They want to say they forgive us. They want to tell us, you did a great job when I was dying from COVID. They want to tell us, pick up the pieces and go on. They want to give us remnants, at least through the purple papers, remnants of who they were in the past,
Yeah.
who they were at another time, right? And every one of the messages that are written here, they take us to some place, to some woman, to some man, to some child, to some grandma, grandfather who wants their loved one to have a glimpse of peace, to have a glimpse of peace, a glimpse of ease. Because as you know, in your practice, I'm sure you see this all the time, grief is devastating.
Yes.
It stops you in your track. I remember when my mother died, I was sobbing at the casket, and I mean, I'll start crying now if I start thinking about it. I was sobbing and sobbing. And the first person in line said to me, why are you crying? You're a medium. You can still talk to her. Well, at that moment, I wasn't a medium. I was her son,
Yeah.
grieving the loss of my mother. But our loved ones, the universe, everything that exists out there is so keen on us feeling better. They want us to feel better. That's what they want, Dale. They
Yeah.
want us to feel better. That's what I
Yeah.
know. It's what I know. And I won't forget this event where that purple paper from Anne.
That's amazing.
It's
Amazing
amazing.
story. Have you ever received a message like at an event and you're like, ooh, I don't think I should pass this on?
Yes. There's one story in particular. I said I'm channeling. So you don't know how this works in my brain or in my being. So I'm talking to one
I would love
person.
to get in your brain, Roland.
I think we're going to pass on that. So I'm talking to one person about something, and at a higher level, there's another voice saying, "Tell my daughter something," and then there's another voice and another energy. And my job and my purpose is to say the things I'm experiencing, right? I don't say
Yeah.
the things I don't see. I don't say what I don't feel or hear. But
Okay.
all of a sudden, I hear, um, I'm going to die in a car accident, right? Tell my daughter I'm going to die in a car accident. And I said, no way. You need to present the information in a way that can be helpful. That's what I'd say to the spirit world. That information may not be helpful. So how can I help your daughter understand the message and what is the bigger picture of that message? Well, it turns out the father was having TIAs, trans ischemic strokes, small strokes, right?
Yeah.
It turns out that when the message came, she knew to take her father to the doctor. And so instead of saying, I'm going to die in a car accident, the message was a little bit more lighter, saying, your father isn't feeling well. Your mother is saying from the afterlife, you've got to do something about how he feels. So I don't hear them say, tell them they're going to die next Thursday.
Yeah. Right.
Oh my God, I've never heard that ever.
No?
Never, never. But I heard this one moment where the guy said, I'm going to die. Tell my daughter her father's going to die in a car accident. And it was a message that said, you better get dad checked because something isn't right with him. So I
Yeah.
was able to kind of understand what that spirit was trying to say to the daughter. So that's kind of the worst of it. I'll never forget that moment either. And I will never forget the fact that the woman emailed me sometime later and said how that one moment saved her father's life. There was another
That's amazing.
experience. Do we have time for another story?
Oh yeah, we have plenty of time. We
Okay.
have we have like
Okay. So
13 minutes left.
okay, fine. I was doing an event in the Adirondacks in New York, and it was a group of 40, 50, 60 people, and there was a young boy in the room. Young. He had to be 16, no, 16, 15, something years old, and oh, I've never seen a kid so brokenhearted in my life. And all I wanted to do was hug the kid. I just
Yeah.
wanted to say, we're here for you. And often I say to the audience, forget about my being here. I don't matter in the big scheme of things. That boy matters,
Yeah.
and we have to do something to help him.
Yeah.
So I start giving a message, and I'm going on and on and on and on. And I'm painting the story of this very, very elaborate message. And there's a purple paper with a bus on it, a yellow school bus. And I'm
Okay.
going on, and I realize that the paper is connected to this kid and that family. So I go on with the message. I'm a little cautious because I can see how fragile the kid is, but I have to tell him that his father's okay. I have no choice, but I got to tell him, and I have to find a way to do it that would bring him peace. So I go on and give him the message. The kid's broken, shattered, crying, sobbing. He didn't have a chance to say goodbye to his father, who was killed
Oh,
by a bus. His father was killed by a bus, and it was depicted on this purple paper. And so the night ended, everything was over. That kid never left my mind. 1 year later, I get a letter from the mother of the child. Oh, this is making me very emotional. Mm. boy who was, I don't know, 15, 16, 17 years old, about how the night went. And she said to me in the letter, I want you to know that prior to your visit, and trust me, please, isn't about me at all.
No, I
The
know.
story isn't about me. It's about the us. It's about humanity. It's
Yes.
about us standing by each other's side. And then the lady went on to say, I want you to know what my son's life was like before you came to the Adirondacks. He was suffering. He was broken. He left sports. He cried every day. And she went on to depict this very grief stricken story of a young kid who wasn't able to pick up the pieces of his life.
Yeah.
But when he heard that his father was with him and that he didn't suffer in that accident, the letter went on to say, I want you to know that my son has made a change in his life. He's going back to school. He's in sports again. And Roland, my son, is smiling again.
Oh,
And she didn't say, she didn't put me on a pedestal, which I am not interested in at all. What she did was she put her husband on a pedestal. She said, thank God my husband was strong enough to talk to my kid. By the way, she believes that he was weeks away from suicide.
oh my
So
gosh.
a year later, after such an experience,
Yeah.
you asked me at the beginning of the show what things have happened along the way that have changed the direction of your life, something to that effect. That was life changing.
Yeah.
To know that the message could have that kind of impact on someone's heart, someone's soul, someone's spirit, someone's something,
Well, it must keep you going because Roland, I mean, I've been to see your events many times, and you can see the emotional toll it takes on you by the end. So I know, the work I do can be emotionally draining too, so
Sure.
sometimes getting those little, not little, those pieces of feedback is what, okay, so this is what I am supposed to do. This is going to keep me doing this kind of difficult work sometimes.
It is difficult work when you have a group of people who are as broken as this kid was. That's
Yeah.
heart-wrenching. And
Yeah.
all you want to do is somehow make them feel better. I mean, I did another group. There were 40 people in the room. 39 people got a message except for one girl. And I'm like,
Oh
oh,
my
man,
gosh.
no kidding. I had to live with that one for a while. I had to navigate that one for a while. Challenging.
Yeah.
But I know what this is all about. It's about the positive energy. And I think the more that we understand mediumship or the connection, the spiritual communication as a viable tool for healing, we're going to begin to feel better, knowing that we're not alone, like you said
Yeah.
at the very beginning. And so they want to tell us things. They don't want to say, stay home. They don't want to say, be depressed.
Right.
They have never said to me, don't go out and eat anymore because I died.
Yeah.
I've never heard it. Not once. You
Yeah.
think someone would have said it, right? Not once. Though, on a funny note, I was doing an event somewhere else in New York, and there were some TV reality stars at my show. And it was a reality show about Italians. And then all of a sudden, I'm walking up to one of the guys, and I walk behind him, and I go, boom, just like this. Just like that, the guy nearly fell apart. And then the guy said, I want to talk to you. And I mean, I can't even act Italian. I want to talk to you in the back. And I'm like, in the back? What do you mean? What have I done? I thought my number was up or something. But he wanted to tell me that he appreciated the fact that he got that very funny, humorous message. So there is joy there.
Yeah.
And we can access the joy, as you know, once we navigate through our pain and grief over the loss of someone.
Yeah.
But they're willing to have conversations with us. They want to chit chat. They want to talk. They want to say hello.
And their personality comes across.
Yes.
You can feel them. You can feel like the grandfather that came across today and wouldn't leave. Like at one point I said, okay, he's coming across a little sarcastic to me. Is this make sense? And she's like, oh gosh, yeah. My grandfather was very sarcastic. I'm like, okay, because when I ask him to leave, he's like, yeah, go ahead, make me. Like, okay, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, make me leave. Oh my God, that's hilarious. But we what we're tapping into is an aspect of who they were here. Because if you didn't say that, it would not resonate with the girl you're talking to. It would not have, if you said, oh my God, you have the sweetest grandfather. She'd say, well, that isn't my grandfather.
That's not my grandfather. I don't
No.
know who you're talking to, but that's
Right.
not mine. Yeah.
Yeah, so they give us pieces in the
Yeah.
message that we understand, that we can relate to. And when we relate to that message, or when the audience relates to the message, everyone seems to get a little lifted. Everyone seems to be just a little bit better because there is a communication.
And
You know,
I've been to so many of your events, Roland, where the message you get, you're giving one person a message, and I'm sitting there saying, that sounds like it could be for me too. Because
for sure.
it's you can get something out of just listening to other people get messages too. It can be part of your healing too, as you're hearing stuff.
Now, you have that awareness because of who you are. Not everyone has that awareness, because when they're in the audience, sometimes they do have tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And they can't see beyond their own suffering, their own pain, their own expectation,
Their
of
own
what's gonna
grief. They're just
their own
stuck in their
grief,
own grief. Yeah.
whatever it is, you know.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that, just like you said, there is something in all the messages, that every message that's spoken, we can all extract something from that message. And I think that's part of the gift or the healing experience that happens. Now, my lawyer says I have to tell you I'm entertaining you there. I say that very humorously.
Yeah.
And it isn't so much entertainment, though. We laugh, we cry, we laugh a lot in my events. We cry in those events, because that's part of human nature, to experience those things when we're talking about someone we love and someone that we care about.
And it also, doesn't it bring the whole audience together? Like, you end up leaving one of your events, Roland, feeling connected to everybody else who was at that event.
My hope is that that happens at every single event. But, you know, I'm realistic that it doesn't always happen that way. There may be one or two people that leave because they're so in their own space that they couldn't see beyond what was going on. I'll never forget this thing in Connecticut I did, and there was one woman, oh my God, and I've mentioned this before, the sound of her her cry was a sound I have never heard and have not heard it again since. It was like pain coming so deep from her, because she was on her way to bring her new baby to visit her dad in another state far from her, and he died on transit while she was driving there. And what came out of her through the message was excruciating. I mean, it was painful. And then all of a sudden, there's a woman. She's sitting way down the other end of the audience. She picks herself up. She walks over to this woman. She closes her eyes and she puts her arms around her. She puts her arms around the woman that is broken and sobbing, a stranger. At that moment, I stopped the audience. I stopped the event, and we all just stopped. And we all took in that moment together. If I could get every audience to do something like that, that would be profound, because that was incredibly, incredibly healing. Absolutely healing.
And don't you think, especially now, our world needs more healing?
We need more healing. We need more love. We need acceptance. We need to accept our differences and celebrate those. So I believe that the departed speak to me. So instead of fighting my belief, learn from my belief, where I will learn from your differences, rather than always being at odds with each other. And this is why humanity needs a little jolt, because we're at odds with each other. We're not celebrating each other. So in my audiences, when there's a celebration and we're making this beautiful connection, and people are feeling the connection, then we are serving the greater good.
Yes.
I want to go back to one other thing that I say is I don't ever guess. If I don't know something, I don't know it. I don't know it. I remember a woman like pleading with me, I need my boy. And I waited, listened, felt, heard nothing. What could I say?
Yeah.
Could I say to her, he's better? He's okay? I could have, but that's not standing in my own integrity.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
I don't feel it right now, but I'll let you know when I do, or if and when I do, right? When I went into Job Lot not long ago, I'm walking through Job Lot, Ocean State Job Lot, and I think I told you this before, and there's a lady there, and she's, oh my God, are you rolling the medium? And I said, yeah. She said, what's my mother's name? Just like this. She scared the hell out of me. And I said, I don't know. Just like that. And she was mad. I thought she was mad.
I'm sure she was. I would have thought that was hysterical. I would have died laughing if I was with you. I can still see you doing that. I don't know.
I did it too. That's exactly how I responded to her. But if I knew it, I would have said it. I met a woman at Staples not long ago asking me, you got any feelings for me? And I walked into Target and not far from my house. And there's a woman with her camera following me around, waiting for her mother to show up like this on bated breath for her mother to show up. If I felt it, I would have said something, though. I will say what I feel.
You will say something in public like that if you run into someone and someone asks you?
If something was happening and I felt as if I had permission to have the conversation. So if someone sees me in a store, ask me. If I have a feeling, I'll tell you, right?
Okay.
If I don't, I won't. It's okay to ask. It feels better being asked than being followed or stalked.
Yeah.
It's a
with the camera running. Yeah.
It's a much better
That's
feeling.
a little freaky.
It's a better feeling than seeing someone looking through the other side of the counter.
The life you live, Roland.
It has happened, trust me.
I believe you. I believe
you.
you.
A lot, it hasn't happened a lot since COVID, but it does happen. Oh my God, I could tell you what happened during COVID when someone sent police to my house, but that's another story also.
Okay, we have to bring you back because there's just too many stories to share in 1 hour, Roland. I haven't get to half of my questions because we were just talking.
I love that. I love that we're just talking about it and hopefully shedding a light for someone who's listening. Or do they get to listen to this later on also?
Oh yeah, it'll be run on many different mediums, so they'll be able to see it.
Yeah. So hopefully, it sheds just a little bit of light and a little bit of humor and a little bit of joy in the midst of all
and
of
a little
the
bit of hope.
And a lot of hope, actually, that love is everlasting, that the connection between us is so incredibly powerful. It is. There's something, each person leaves upon the next an impression. That impression is invisible but palpable. And when that impression is experienced or re-experienced, then we have another level of communication, because your people left an impression on you that have passed. Heather left an impression on you. I don't know why her name just came in my head, her name all of a sudden. But anyway, she left an impression on you.
That's because Heather's always been around you. Heather told us before she passed she was going to haunt the shit out of us. No. Where she was going to go to was you. So you're the only medium she's going to, Roland.
Are you kidding? I didn't know this.
Oh yeah.
This is news. This is news to me. But it's time for us to stretch our spiritual muscle, and stretch our spiritual connections so that we can access this beautiful energy that exists all around us. This
And it makes
beautiful,
our lives a little bit easier, because this
yeah,
thing we call life is very, very difficult to do.
yeah. Life isn't simple at all. There's
No,
nothing simple about the experience
God,
at
no.
all. But you're right. It brings a little bit of hope.
Yeah,
I just can I have a second to say something about the purple papers? Uh,
absolutely.
the purple papers, for those of you that haven't seen me before, you can go to my website and see some of them. You can also read the book Signs of Spirit. There are some in the back of the book. Oh my God,
Yes,
right? The
I'm
book.
in there. I'm
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
book.
you are in the book. That's right.
I
I'm
am.
not even the author. There are many authors. I'm just not the singular author of that book. There are many people that are part of that book.
Mhm.
But in the back of that book, there is a story, a purple paper that was unclaimed. A woman in Georgia purchased the book. She lives in Georgia. She read the book and came to this realization that that paper was her father, right?
Yeah.
And his last name was Gongaleski. That's what the paper said, Mr. Gongaleski.
You got the last name?
Oh
Wow.
my God, I got a lot of last names. I got Andre. I got lots of last names. They're in the purple paper file as well. But I
Okay.
get the last name Mr. Gongaleski. So the lady lives in Georgia, and she said to me, um, we talked on the phone. I said, I can't believe you're discovering a purple paper. I can't believe it belongs to you. It's so beautiful. It's so wonderful, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then it turns out that her father lived in the same city that I was born in.
Oh my gosh.
Right? You cannot make it up.
No,
You
you
can't
can't.
make it up. You
You
can't.
can't.
I can say I love you all day long. So every time I walk past you and I say I love you, okay, maybe I can say they're okay. But the messages are so specific sometimes, so
Yeah.
poignant, that they say what they have to say. They do what they have to do.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Do you remember a lot? I've passed along messages, and then I'll run across somebody later on and they'll say, Dale, do you remember when you told me this? And I'm like, honestly, no. It wasn't my message, so I passed it along, and I don't remember what I said to you. I'm sorry. Is
right.
that kind of typical?
It is very typical. It's not yours to have. You're simply the
No.
caretaker of the message or the paper until you meet the rightful owner or recipient. And then you deliver the message, and it's no longer a part of you. Though people that are new at making these kinds of connections, when they hold on to the message, that's what exhausts their energy. So you have to figure out how to move along the papers. That's why I started writing them down. My head was flooded. My soul was
Yeah.
flooded. My heart was flooded with all these messages. What would I do with them? I have to
Right.
share in some way. And this
Right.
is how I go about sharing the purple papers. That's how I go about.
Roland, I cannot thank you enough for this. I know we went over, but we could talk for another 2 hours easily and not even take a breath. Um, if you would come back again, because I think this was a fabulous show, and you're so easy to talk to, my friend.
I same here. I loved it. I love being with you. I appreciate being invited onto your show, and I thank all of your audience for tuning in today. And I can't wait to see you out there somewhere. So thank
Oh,
you.
absolutely. Very, very soon. I got to get my son Jimmy to come to one of your events. That's what I'm
Okay.
working on next.
Okay.
Everyone who joins us, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this show as much as I did. And again, thank you so much, Roland. I love you. You always have a place in my heart, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
Good night, everyone. Namaste. I will see.
Namaste, she says. So, hold on a minute. Let me get rid of this old. That was a. Oh my God, that was a legit metaphysical world with my dear aunt, Auntie Dale. As she welcomed famed medium, spiritual healer. This guy is like. If you've never seen Roland Comtois, I dare you to just go to one of his events, even if he doesn't come to you. It's absolutely it's breathtaking. It made me emotional the first time I saw him, and I didn't even have anything to be emotional about at the time, or so I thought. And then, sure enough, 5 purple papers later, here I am saying how awesome Roland is. Blessingsbyroland.com. You can find him and all his events there. Also, check out www.legitpodcast.com for all of our show schedules, connections to YouTube. We're on Rumble, which I don't really understand yet what that is. Mike kind of does that stuff. We're on this Stream thing. I don't know if I'm even saying it right. Check us out on that. Tune in live tomorrow night at 8:05 for Dreamy David Barr and King Mike L and Thin Schrader Hill as they bring you the legit paranormal news, to be followed by Into the Legit Darkness with Rini Rodriguez. It's about like serial killers and awful dark people. Join us live on Thursday at 8:05 as we welcome Mike Priest, paranormal investigator. He's of the Scientific Paranormal of Michigan. And he's gonna bring on his clips, and we're gonna like play them and listen to them, and we'll see what we think. Right immediately after Sarah Paranormal, and Mike will flip the coin and go to Legit Paranormal 101, where Sarah and Heidi and Julie will talk about like how to do paranormal stuff, and Mike will just kind of comment on the side. As he often does. On Friday and Saturday, we're off, and join us live at 7:05 for the flagship show Sunday as we welcome August guests of the Legit Paranormal Party on Block Island for the month of August. Chris Cesare, Ghost Boy Janesco. That is August the 25th through the 27th. Again, the 26th is the key date where we're having beach fun. Rob Martin's Magician Show, which is he's a great magician, and he's like a wicked personable guy. And and then there's like a ghost tour with Rick Isaac, who does Block Island Ghost Tours. Is absolutely phenomenal man. And his mother, ironically enough, was my elementary school principal. Cheers, Mrs. Isaac. And what else? And then you're gonna have a talk with the VIP guy, who's Chris Cesare. He's gonna talk about his experiences going to college in a haunted dorm where he had a rough time with a rough ghost. He'll talk all about that and his experiences with the paranormal and what he did to overcome it and the man he is today. Then you'll have a scavenger hunt with Michael. And then you all meet back at the best dive bar in New England, Club Soda, right there on Block Island, and enjoy fresh, cold, delicious drinks and good, warm, friendly fun, and it'll be a great weekend. Join us live on Block Island. For Auntie Deo, who's traveling south with my dear Uncle Jim, safe travels on Friday. Hope to see you soon on a upcoming trip to the south. What else? Roland Comtois, Michael. Yeah. And it's me. It's not King Michael. It's just Buddy. And this has been a legit Metaphysical World rerun.